I said Meghan Markle is, of course, a lifelong feminist, which she's demonstrated by marrying a prince and giving up her job.
Michael, we like to apologise. Unfortunately, William's hair was unable to make it this evening.
And I know some people are disappointed by the name Archie, but there's one person who's super excited, the Queen. Yeah, because you know for the last 9 months, she's been like, please don't be Jamal, please don't be Jamal, please don't be Jamal.
This wasn't just another cheap royal gag. This was a full-blown turning point in pop culture. The comedy world finally dropped the mask and stopped tiptoeing around Harry and Meghan's drama. What came next wasn't comedy. It was a massacre on stage, and no one was safe.
Harry and Meghan say they'd now like to split their time between spending your money in the UK and spending your money in Canada.
The jokes turned razor sharp, the tone turned savage, and the crowd ate it up like it was the roast of the decade. Jimmy Carr might have been having his laughs, but then came the shocker. Kelly Osborne stormed into the spotlight and went absolutely nuclear. Forget playful jabs. She launched the kind of verbal beatdown that had the audience gasping and the cameras rolling non-stop. She didn't just roast Harry, she scorched him with the kind of brutal honesty you'd expect behind closed doors, not blasted out for the entire world to hear.
The royal family, right, if you can imagine, they're like our Kardashian. Prince Harry is very much our Kanye. He occasionally dresses as a Nazi, and he f***ed up.
And trust me, what Kelly said didn't just cross the line, it dragged the royals through the mud and left everyone stunned, wide-eyed, and whispering, did she really just say that? We'll get to that jaw-dropping Kelly Osborne explosion in just a moment. But first, let's rewind to how this entire comedic takedown really began.
My brother's fiancée, Miss Meghan Markle, is on the American program Suits.
Yes, Wednesdays, 8 p.m, USA Network.
The only difference between that show and this is people watch this one.
Because trust me, the opening shots set the stage for absolute chaos. It all kicked off when Jimmy Carr went for the jugular with a comparison that had the audience howling, the royals as the Kardashians. And then he twisted the knife even deeper by painting Harry as the Kanye of the family. That one landed differently, because suddenly the parallels were crystal clear. The unpredictable behavior, the dramatic outbursts, the constant soap opera. People couldn't unsee it.
Whenever the kids are being fussy and not going to bed, she puts on an episode of Suits and they're out. So,
What are you doing? Ow! Stop it! Stop it!
For the first time, the entire room recognized the royals weren't a fairy tale anymore. They were a reality show unraveling in real time. But Jimmy wasn't alone in this assault. Oh no, once the door was opened, every comedian in sight realized they had the green light to torch the so-called progressive princess image Meghan had been selling. That's when Saturday Night Live jumped in, with Alex and Mikey delivering punches that were downright merciless. The jokes about her acting career weren't just harsh, they were devastating. They didn't just say she was a bad actress, they mocked her relevance altogether.
Meghan and I are having a very casual conversation about who our acting teachers were at Northwestern, and she said, congratulations on your career, and I said, congratulations on your career. And she said, well, it took a little turn.
And when comedians are joking that your old show is so boring it puts children to sleep, that's not just a roast, that's a public obituary for your Hollywood credibility. And the humiliation didn't stop there. Even one of Meghan's own classmates from acting school, someone who once cheered her on, wasn't having it anymore. The silence from her inner circle spoke louder than any punchline.
In California, we're just a regular couple living close to Oprah and far from the paparazzi. Ooh, but not too far.
And the message was chilling. Meghan's star power wasn't just fading, it was vanishing before everyone's eyes. Billy didn't hold back. He flat out implied that Meghan's entire career only skyrocketed because she married into royalty. Without that ring and that title, he hinted, she'd still be just another struggling actress waiting for callbacks that never came.
The best thing is, no more following Granny's rules. Don't wear your pants on your head, Harry. Don't barf on the butler, Harry.
That comment wasn't just sharp, it was pure poison, wrapped up with a smile, and it landed harder than any scripted drama ever could. But the humiliation didn't stop with late-night comedians. No, the British went in with brutal satire, and nobody does it harsher than the legendary puppet show Spitting Image.
If I want to play polo in my living room, who's gonna stop me?
Stop that!
Right away, Megs.
Their skits didn't just poke fun, they tore Harry and Meghan to shreds. The puppets portrayed them as utterly delusional about their so-called new life in California. Living close to Oprah, but never too far from paparazzi, that was the punchline. One puppet had Harry whining about escaping his granny's rules. No more don't wear your pants on your head, Harry. No more don't bathe with the butler, Harry. While Meghan stood smugly in the background, pulling the strings. The crowd roared because it wasn't just funny, it confirmed exactly what millions had suspected all along. Harry was shown as a man-child, celebrating freedom like a teenager sneaking out of boarding school, while completely oblivious to reality. Meghan, on the other hand, was painted as the mastermind, still calling all the shots, controlling every move, every plan, every deal. Even the polo gag was savage. Harry couldn't swing a mallet without breaking something, and yet he strutted around like he was living the dream. But here's where the satire turned into a warning. The moment Hollywood itself began pulling away, that's when the laughter shifted from silly to sinister. Because if the industry turns on you, your whole brand, your whole business model, then you're not just being mocked. You're being dismantled piece by piece, right in front of the world. It all began at the Golden Globes, when Joe Coy stepped up to the mic and dropped a single line that cut through the glitter and champagne like a blade.
Turns out Prince Harry and Meghan Markle will still get paid millions of dollars for doing absolutely nothing. And that's just by Netflix.
His joke didn't just land, it crystallized what everyone in Hollywood had been whispering about for months. And here's the thing, the punchline didn't just make the audience laugh, it made the producers, directors, and executives shift in their seats. Because they were the ones signing the checks. They were the ones staring at contracts worth millions, wondering what exactly they had bought. And the answer was nothing.
We just want to be normal people. All this attention is so hard. Isn't it true, sir, that your questionable wife has her own TV show and hangs out with celebrities and does fashion magazines?
That's when the paid-for-nothing narrative was born, and it spread like wildfire across the industry. Late-night hosts, gossip blogs, even rival celebrities picked it up, and suddenly, it was the only way people described Meghan and Harry, collecting massive paydays while delivering almost zero results. That stigma stuck to them like glue.
They're ridiculous after that. They want it both ways. You know, you can't be, these people were so mean to us, poor us, and we don't want all this attention, and then let me write a book about how much we don't want attention.
Then Bill Maher took it even further. He didn't just mock them, he drilled right into the core hypocrisy. You can't play the victim while cashing in on your victimhood, he snapped. And the audience exploded. That was the dagger, because he was right. The contradiction was too obvious, too embarrassing, and too public to ignore. And it snowballed. Comedy legend Ricky Gervais piled on next, shredding their sense of entitlement with the kind of bite only he can deliver. If you're getting millions and still complaining, maybe the problem isn't the palace, it's you, he sneered.
Once at a gig, at the back was Harry and William, Madonna and Paul McCartney. Not one of them paid.
And when Gervais, a man famous for torching Hollywood elites, is laughing at your privilege, your reputation for being hopelessly out of touch is cemented forever. But the deadliest blow didn't come from the stage. It came from South Park. They didn't just mock Harry and Meghan's hypocrisy. They made it the entire plot of an episode. Cartoon versions of the couple marched around demanding privacy while waving banners that screamed for attention. The satire was merciless. Meghan's supposed desire for a quiet life was exposed as pure nonsense, while Harry was portrayed as too whipped, too blind, and too desperate to see what was happening. And that's the moment it all clicked for the public.
What are you suggesting? Well, I just think some people might say that your Instagram-loving wife actually doesn't want her privacy. How dare you, sir? My Instagram-loving wife has always wanted her privacy!
This wasn't just gossip anymore. This was their whole brand collapsing under the weight of its own contradictions. South Park didn't just stop at mocking. They went nuclear. The show portrayed Harry and Meghan jetting around the world, riding in a luxury private plane while shouting through megaphones about their need for privacy. The image was unforgettable. Two millionaires in designer clothes screaming about being left alone, while literally waving down cameras from the window of a jet. That one scene captured exactly what the public had been saying for years. The hypocrisy was blinding.
To hell with Canada! We are leaving! We'll go find some quiet place where we can be normal people! Come on, wife! We want privacy! We want privacy!
The cartoon twisted the knife further, showing Meghan chirping, "If we move here, people will know we're serious about being normal," only for the couple to stumble into a quiet neighborhood and panic at the silence. The satire was merciless. When they finally found real peace, they didn't know what to do with it. Because deep down, it wasn't privacy they wanted. It was attention, control, and headlines on their terms.
Look at this town. There's just something about it. Oh, darling, I think this might be the place. It's so quiet and empty here. If we moved here, then people would think we're really serious about wanting to be normal.
But here's the wild part. Even those savage animated takedowns were nothing compared to what was coming next. Kelly Osborne's rant, which we'll get to in a moment, was explosive. Yet before her, something unprecedented happened. Chris Rock, one of the most respected voices in comedy, especially within the black community, stepped up and completely shredded Meghan's carefully built racism narrative. Rock didn't mince words. He looked straight at the audience and said what millions were thinking. You should have done your research on the royal family. And just like that, the victim story Meghan had been selling collapsed under its own weight.
Gone on Oprah, I didn't know. I had no idea how racist they were. It's the royal family. You didn't Google these motherfuckers?
The punchline was brutal because Rock wasn't just dismissing her claims. He was exposing the holes in the entire argument. And he wasn't done yet. Rock dropped the line that had everyone's jaws on the floor. They're the original racists. At first, people thought he was about to validate Meghan's accusations. But no, that was the setup. What followed was the most devastating punchline of all, and it left the room spinning.
What the f*** is she talking about? She didn't know. The fuck? It's the royal family. They're the original racists.
Chris Rock had already set the stage on fire by telling the world that Meghan's so-called biggest complaint wasn't even racism. It was just the kind of curiosity every family has when a new baby is on the way. And when the most influential black comedian in America dismisses your claims on stage, you've officially lost the narrative. That was the tipping point. Because once black comedians started questioning their story, white comedians felt completely unleashed to pile on without fear of backlash. That's where Colin Jost came in, and he was merciless.
They're so racist. They wanted to know how brown the baby's gonna be. I'm like, that's not racist. Because even black people want to know how brown the baby gonna be. Shit.
The Saturday Night Live star didn't tiptoe around. He cut right through the fairy tale and compared Harry and Meghan's whirlwind romance to Elon Musk's Twitter obsession, a flashy disaster that burned millions and left chaos in its wake. The audience gasped, then erupted, because the comparison was brutal but painfully accurate. Both were high-profile decisions that promised glory but delivered embarrassment. And Colin wasn't finished torching Harry's choices.
Elon built electric cars, he's going to Mars. Why is he even involving himself with Twitter? It would be like if the Prince of England gave it all up just to marry an actor from Suits.
His next line went viral instantly, the now legendary unemployed immigrant punch. With one stroke, he stripped away every ounce of royal mystique and reduced Harry to exactly what he looked like in Hollywood. A man with no career, no plan, and no clear role in life. It was savage, it was simple, and it cut deeper than any tabloid headline ever could. That one joke stuck because it perfectly summed up how the world now saw him. Not as Prince Harry, the noble rebel, but as a man adrift, reduced to punchlines while standing in the shadow of his wife's ambition. No job, no direction, and living off his wife's Netflix money.
NBC has announced plans for a spin-off to the hit series Suits. It will focus on Meghan Markle's character's struggle to balance her legal career while also caring for an unemployed immigrant.
That was the brutal image comedians painted, and the attacks only escalated from there. British comedian Simon Brodkin decided he wasn't just going to mock Harry and Meghan's actions, he was going to tear into their very characters. His confession was chilling in its honesty. Brodkin admitted that he actually gave them a fair chance. He sat down, watched their Netflix documentary, hoping to hear their side of the story, and somehow walked away disliking them even more. That, right there, is the definition of a PR disaster. Instead of winning hearts, their big money project backfired and turned sympathizers into critics. The H&M nickname mockery was especially cutting.
I watched the Harry and Meghan Netflix documentary. Now, I'll be honest with you, before I watched it, I was not a fan of theirs. But now I've actually heard their side of the story, I f***ing hate them.
Brodkin sneered that even their pet names sounded like corporate branding, more like a clothing store than a couple in love. It painted them not as humans, but as a packaged product, polished, fake, and designed to sell. That one jab stung because it exposed what people had long suspected. Their entire relationship looked like a business plan disguised as a marriage. And then came the rant that had millions nodding. Brodkin fumed about hearing the couple complain about paying for their own security. Multi-millionaires whining about basic expenses, he scoffed.
They started off and they're making interesting points about racism and misogyny. Then they start calling each other H&M, and I just thought, oh, do fuck off.
The disconnect was staggering. While ordinary people struggle with rent, bills, and groceries, here were Harry and Meghan crying about writing checks from their mega deals. It wasn't just tone deaf, it was insulting to the public. But the most bizarre twist came when Joe Rogan got dragged into the storm out of nowhere. During a media appearance, Prince Harry randomly decided to take shots at Rogan, who hadn't even mentioned him. Rogan's reaction said it all. Total confusion. He was minding his own business, running his podcast empire, when suddenly a royal was trashing him on live television. The spectacle was so bizarre, it left both fans and critics asking the same thing. Why on earth was Harry picking fights with people who weren't even in his orbit? The absurdity hit Rogan instantly.
They were complaining that to pay for their own security. They were not happy about that. Yeah, they were very worried about their safety, which I get that aspect of things. After 6 episodes, I wanted to attack them.
Imagine this. You're sitting at your podcast desk, sipping coffee, when suddenly royalty is dragging your name across the news. Rogan laughed, shaking his head, and said, "How weird is it when royalty knows your name only because they're attacking you publicly?" Even he admitted his first thought was, wait, did I do something wrong just because a prince said so? That hesitation, that self-check, was pure comedy gold. The audience howled because the situation was so ridiculous it almost felt scripted. But then came the moment that stole the entire spotlight. Kelly Osborne stepped up, and she didn't just roast Harry, she unleashed pure, unfiltered rage. This wasn't comedy anymore. This was a scorched earth takedown, the kind you'd expect behind closed doors, not broadcast to millions.
One time, I just woke up, I'm in my underwear, I plop down in front of the TV, I turn it on. The moment I turn it on, Prince Harry's talking shit about me. I'm like,
Even the podcast host couldn't hide his nervous laughter because he knew Kelly had crossed into territory nobody else dared touch. Kelly didn't just go after Harry's choices, she ripped apart his entire character. Her first blow was accusing him of constant complaining, branding him as a professional victim. That line stung because it nailed the truth. His entire public identity had become one long pity party.
do you know how weird it is when a prince knows your name? He's like, Joe Rogan's giving out dangerous vaccine misinformation!
And then came the knockout punch, the moment that froze the room. Kelly called him out on everything people whispered about, but never said out loud. She dragged up his Nazi costume scandal. She mocked his endless mental health speeches, pointing out how he used them as a shield. And she tore into his attempt to rebrand himself as some sort of modern-day saint, exposing it as nothing more than a marketing scheme. The crowd didn't gasp. They roared, because Kelly had just said what everyone else was too afraid to voice. Her rant was savage, raw, and unforgettable. And when it was over, it didn't just feel like a roast, it felt like the official end of Prince Harry's credibility.
And my first thought was, did I? I might have.
It was the perfect, brutal capstone to the most savage royal beatdown in entertainment history. Kelly Osborne had just accomplished what no comedian, no late-night host, and not even the sharpest satirical cartoons had managed to do. She completely obliterated whatever sympathy Prince Harry had left, and she did it with raw, unfiltered honesty. What we just witnessed wasn't a roast, it wasn't even comedy, it was a full-scale character assassination, broadcast across every corner of the entertainment world. Think about it. From Jimmy Carr's razor-sharp comparisons to Colin Jost's merciless one-liners. From Chris Rock dismantling Meghan's racism claims to South Park lampooning their privacy tour. Every shot chipped away at the image they had tried so hard to sell. And then Kelly came in with the kill shot, leaving nothing standing.
I think Harry's a f***ing twat. I do.
The verdict was clear. Their victimhood narrative had collapsed under its own contradictions. Harry and Meghan's game plan had always been simple. Control the story, paint themselves as victims, and cash in on the sympathy. But the problem? The audience wasn't buying it. Every carefully staged interview, every dramatic revelation, every claim of authenticity only gave comedians fresh ammunition. Their attempts to look relatable instead highlighted just how out of touch they really were. Complaints about wanting privacy while doing worldwide publicity tours? That's comedy gold. Complaining about security costs while signing multi-million-dollar contracts?
He's a whining, whinging, complaining, woe is me, I'm the only one that's ever had mental problems.
That's pure satire on a silver platter. And when Chris Rock, the most respected black comedian in America, stood up and questioned the very foundation of Meghan's claims, the whole act crumbled for good. Now they're not viewed as trailblazers, or rebels, or even relatable underdogs. They've become something far worse. Punchlines. A living, breathing warning about what happens when celebrity status is built on grievances instead of achievements. Because here's the harsh truth. When your brand is based on playing the victim, you're always just one joke away from total irrelevance. And the entertainment industry, which once might have shielded them, has turned them into content instead. They're no longer protected, they're consumed. No longer icons, they're punchlines.
Like, my life was so hard. Everybody's fucking life is hard.
Yeah,
you were
true.
the prince of a goddamn country who dressed up as a fucking Nazi, and now you're trying to come back as the Pope? Suck it.
And in Hollywood, there is no recovery from that level of ridicule. That's the price you pay when you try to have it both ways. Living in luxury while demanding pity, shouting for privacy while chasing publicity, claiming authenticity while looking manufactured. So now we're left with the biggest question of all. Is there any way back from becoming entertainment's biggest punchline? Or has the royal fairy tale officially ended in flames? Let us know your take in the comments. We really want to hear your thoughts on whether Harry and Meghan can ever bounce back from this. And if you enjoyed this breakdown of their epic unraveling, don't forget to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on the notifications so you don't miss the next jaw-dropping scandal we've got lined up. Because trust me, the drama isn't slowing down anytime soon.